Okay, day 202 of Awan Brotherhood. We're drilling into Imran Awan and the Awan brothers, and are they the trusted staff of Anthony Weiner? And Weiner in Congress through 2011 seems like he would have been one of the 80 Democrats that the Awan brothers supported in their IT duties. Now, we know that they bought Blackberries from eBay, which not previously owned Blackberries are not government. It's not standard to do that with secure phones because obviously, being in someone else's possession, they could have been doped and hacked. So buying them from eBay would give you plausible deniability if there was a hack. You could say, "Oh, we got them off eBay. They were doped in advance." So I just wanted to mention that possible out. If you don't remember the email, this is an email exchange between Huma and Hillary saying, "Are Anthony's trusted staff, able to send a secure phone to some location?" We believe that Hillary on August 2nd, now 2010, was in Washington D.C., but her schedule seems to be blank for that day. We don't have who she was meeting with. It seems like John Kerry is hanging around. Rajiv Shah is hanging around. Pakistani floods are the topic of the day. USAID is the topic of the day. So it just seems like that clutch of things all around Pakistan are in the mix here on the 2nd of August. Also, right previous to this, on the 28th, 4 days before, Anthony Weiner gives his famous 9/11 healthcare rant to Congress, talking about health care for the firemen and police officers and ambulance folks. Now, interesting thing about that is the lawsuit against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has really been divided into two. One are all the people who were around the event, and some of the fire, some of the police, some of the ambulance drivers. It's about 2/3 that's not being run by Hillary insiders. About a third, which is mostly firemen and police through the Fire and Police Union, is being run through Jack Quinn, famous Jack Quinn, who did, Fast and Furious. And basically, Jack Quinn does everything that Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder ever announced publicly. Even there's emails to this effect that Jack Quinn is the guy behind it, running the show. So he's also now representing these 1/3 of the 9/11 victims against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Many people think that they're going to get the lion's share of the settlement when the settlement finally comes through, and it's all going to go to basically lawyers like Jack Quinn. Anyway, that's a little bit of an aside. But we're focusing in here on this trusted staff. Who is the trusted staff? Are they Awan brothers? It seems very unlikely with 80 different folks working. The Awan brothers working with 80 different folks in Congress, that Anthony Weiner wouldn't have been one of the 80 Democrats, but we don't know that yet to be sure. But we know that it's about Blackberries. Now, here's an interesting angle here, is that it could be, the other piece I didn't mention here is the U.S. Senate finally ditches BlackBerry. This happened in June of last year. So all of the senators up until last year, June of last year, could have been victims to this syncing, to this BlackBerry device, to the laptop syncing. What's even more interesting is that the U.S. House of Representatives, I do not believe, has switched over yet. I believe they still use Blackberries. At least I couldn't find any thing since June, but please, please check my facts there and see when the U.S. House of Representatives switched off of BlackBerry. Again, this was only June of 2016 when they finally made the switch over to BlackBerry. It's interesting also that Eric Schmidt of the Google Foundation and of Google still uses BlackBerry, which is yet another interesting topic. So if, in fact, the U.S. House of Representatives still uses Blackberries, when I went to this house here in Hawkshead and talked to the Marine on the front porch, Andre Taggart, it could have been, if they still use Blackberries, this could have been a trove of Blackberries ready and waiting by Imran Awan, who still works for Debbie Wasserman Schultz, to still, to this day, provide members of Congress with these hackable Blackberries. Remember, we set up the laptop in advance to say sync with everything that's on the BlackBerry. Then we give an unwitting member of Congress on a key committee the phone, and then we are constantly kept in sync with that congressman on the phone. And again, I think you're going to target the congressmen that are on key committees, like the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Foreign Affairs, and so forth. So this makes identifying the 80 Democrats the Awan brothers worked for even more important. Now, it could be that the Awan brothers had a purview outside of these 80 Democrats. Could have been that they were supplying phones for the Senate as well, maybe even the Supreme Court. It'd be interesting to see if the Supreme Court uses BlackBerries. So I'm not saying that the damage is limited just to these 80 Democrats over the last 15, 16 years. It could be that the damage goes all the way to the Senate, and because Senate used BlackBerries, as well as the State Department, the Army, the Navy, all the armed forces, DIA, CIA, FBI. Still don't know if Andrew McCabe uses a BlackBerry or not. That'd be an interesting thing. And if James Comey used a BlackBerry. All those would be interesting pieces of information to glean. So if, in fact, the Senate used BlackBerries up until June of 2016, and the House still uses BlackBerries, and Imran Awan is still working for Debbie Wasserman Schultz, it could be that this server still is in existence. This data is still being put on a different server. Now, they would change out the server, of course, because this server was seized by the Capitol Police. But it could be that these emails are still being accumulated, and that we have another, like Huma server, call it Huma 2, that is out there somewhere. Again, remember, Imran Awan is still working for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So, adding to the purview of the people who had BlackBerries, John Kerry, as I mentioned, came in for that drop-in meeting, right, on August 4th with Hillary Clinton. Now, it could be that he was there actually on August 3rd at the USAID meetings in that afternoon with Rajiv Shah, and it could be that he was actually in meetings on August 2nd with Hillary, where her schedule is clear. Now, at the time, John Kerry was the senator for Massachusetts, and he was sitting on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Now, I believe he was chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Now, that would put him in a key role for USAID, because Foreign Affairs is the group that approves foreign affairs, especially USAID funding. And the USAID funding, as I've talked about in the past, the bowl of Huggies and all that, and the Imran's father cheating the 12 farmers and then having his partner die in a car accident, that whole USAID fraud scheme that Imran went over to clear for his father, that is looking like why John Kerry was there on August 2nd. Again, no proof of his whereabouts on August 2nd, but that was a Monday, and I believe Congress was in session, so at least we know he was in Washington, D.C. So we can put Hillary and John Kerry in that meeting on August the 2nd. That's going to be important. Now, were they trying to get a BlackBerry device in the hands of other senators who are on that committee? All you would have to do is have the senator lose the BlackBerry, or have the BlackBerry fail in some way, fail the BlackBerry, put a virus on it, etc. The senator would then call, get a new BlackBerry, and then you would put a BlackBerry in the hand of the senator that you were trying to influence. Don't know. That's just a working theory. But was that the reason why during the strategy session on August 2nd that they decided, hey, we need to get another secure phone here? Who knows? Don't really know the answer to that. But we do need to know the whereabouts of John Kerry on August the 2nd, chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Now, the other thing that comes out later, and I put the email lower, is that John Kerry a year later, is caught sending classified information to Hillary Clinton about Pakistan and India and Afghanistan. So the reason why I'm pointing to John Kerry being there on August 2nd with Hillary is because later that year, or about a year later, there's an article that comes out about him being involved sending classified information about Pakistan, India, and Afghanistan. Speaking of Afghanistan, Stanley McChrystal is also in Afghanistan at the time, I believe, running that theater in 2010. Of course, everybody knows about Michael Hastings. I promised I'd get back to this, and he uses the BlackBerry. All the U.S. Army still uses the BlackBerry. So if you were in a meeting trying to protect a rat line or trying to protect a foreign affairs investment in where a potential mango grove would be or where a poppy fields would be, this would be an important person to be able to hack here, because then you would know all the operations that are going along in the rat line area. The other famous person that as soon as you think Stanley McChrystal, you think of his replacement. His replacement, of course, is David Petraeus. And Hillary, as you remember, writes that famous BlackBerry Blues email almost on January 10th, 2009, when she first takes over as Secretary of State, or else it's early February when she takes over as Secretary of State. So the BlackBerry Blues thing about not being able to have a BlackBerry in the skiff and so forth immediately comes up. So again, a lot of focus on the emails with this BlackBerry thing, and that's why I keep pointing that direction. Cheryl Mills is also in articles, her key assistant, about taking the BlackBerry into the skiff. I put the article citations down below. The title here is "The Only Person Who Can Say No to Hillary." Now, she also has another email where she loses her BlackBerry on March 10th, or on March 2010. That's right after all the USAID dealings are done with Eric Braverman and Haiti. So now, is it the fact that the earthquake happens, then all the USAID deliberations go on in the Foreign Affairs Committee, again, John Kerry running the Foreign Affairs Committee. The USAID approvals go out. We set up all those businesses and new investments along the north part of Haiti, even though all the damage is down south by Port-au-Prince. Now we're done with Caracol Business Park and the new hospital and the new airport and the new shipping center and the new prison up there on the shore. We lose the BlackBerry. All the information goes away. Now that we're done with the deal, we lose the BlackBerry. That gives us an out. If any of that information is ever intercepted, you could say, oh, I lost my BlackBerry. So just want to kind of round that out. I would again send this to Senator Dick Black because I think he's probably following this series. I'm going to develop out how this all Dulles area Muslim society on Sugarland Road here below Sugarland Park, all that sort of thing. This is going to be the money laundering center for the Sugarland Express for Javid down in from Sugarland to Beaumont. I can't cover that this version, but I will cover it in future episodes.